We're kicking off with the letter X. X feels like less of a surfboard and more like two surfboards that got into a high-speed accident and fused together. It's completely spiky. Every direction is a wrong direction. And the whole thing looks like it was designed by someone who is actively trying to stop surfboarding from being a sport. I mean, you're doing a great job if you can even spot a flat surface on this. Trying to stand on it is like trying to bounce on a bundle of pointy sticks. Even the ocean refuses to cooperate. When the X board touches the water at high speed, it acts like a helicopter blade shattering. Perhaps this wasn't meant to be a surfboard. Maybe the designer was trying to obliterate the local fish population. Who am I to judge? Number 9. P. Imagine showing up at the beach, waxing your board, paddling out, and then realizing you've accidentally grabbed a buoy. That's P, a bright and cheerful, bobbing little traffic cone whose only job is to loudly inform boats of what not to do. And you've decided to try surfing on it. Wow, your confidence is shocking. Or is it stupidity? Yeah, it's probably stupidity. The whole structure is vertical, top-heavy, and shaped like something that the Coast Guard yells at you for touching. Trust me when I tell you that when a wave comes along, P will happily tip over like a startled flamingo, sending you straight into the water while it bobs away without a single ounce of remorse. Number 8. U. U is... are these letters even trying? I mean, it's like whoever made the original alphabet didn't even think about the multifunctional needs of the modern-day surfer. All that can really be said for U is that it floats. That's probably worth something, although you will just be sitting there. This big plastic horseshoe is definitely not built to reach any kind of speed. It's more into drifting slowly, like it's waiting for its turn to be useful. It's basically a bathtub, which, when you think about it, are better at keeping water inside, giving you a relaxing candlelit evening, not performing as a surfboard. The fundamental problem is hydrodynamics. Because it has zero sharp edges, it means zero ability to cut into the water. Using this would be more like participating in a very slow, very uneventful flotation demonstration. Number 7. S. Again, barely a surfboard. At this point, you're basically riding a supersized rubber duck without the dignity of admitting it. The entire shape just refuses the concept of direction. If you caught a wave with S, theoretically, somehow, you'd probably be pulled over by the Coast Guard for taking the novelty pedalo into a danger area. But the whole situation would look hilarious from the shore, which is worth at least a few points. Number 6. C. Okay, C is definitely not a surfboard. It's actually more what I would describe as a beach accident waiting to happen. It's like one of those inflatable donuts you go tubing in, except without handles, or safety instructions, or any sense of responsibility. You know the ones where you climb into it and then the speedboat drags you along at like 50 miles an hour on choppy waters, and it immediately makes you reconsider your choices. I mean, this thing was built for chaos. The moment the towing starts, you realize you've actually been launched into a physics experiment involving centrifugal force and your body. It always goes the same way with these things. It's fun for about 5 seconds, but after that you're just trying not to get flung out into the open ocean and break several limbs. Number 5. Y. Technically, Y could have been a good surfboard. It's got a nice central stem and a decent length. Good weight distribution. Until someone slapped on a fin the size of a small sailboat. And I'm not being dramatic, it is comically oversized. You can paddle on this one, but that's about it. Now, as a self-proclaimed letter physicist, at least that's what my job title is when I meet new people, I've worked out that the moment you even try to steer or simply go too fast, it doesn't work because there's simply too much drag. Wow, sometimes I honestly am baffled by the size of my own brain. On the right side, if you've given up on trying to learn surfing, let's be honest, like many of your other failed hobbies, you can lay on this board upside down on the beach and use that massive fin as a backrest. Now chill out, relax, and enjoy the sun. Number 4. T. Alright, so T is one of those boards that looks wrong at first glance, like some religious surfer left their gear out by accident. But once you inspect the shape, it actually kind of works. The lower section acts as a surprisingly decent built-in fin, giving it stability and tracking. That's honestly better than you'd expect from a letter that looks like it should glow in stained glass. But that's where your happiness as a human ends, because then there's that top part. That extra fin in the air situation causes an absurd amount of drag once you pick up speed. When you start accelerating, the wind grabs that top bar and suddenly you've been yeeted off the back. Great stability at low speeds, but an absolute mess at high speeds. Number 3. Z. Okay, so Z is basically the cool kid on this list, a full-on foil board. And if you don't know how that works, essentially the bottom part goes in the water and the top part is what you stand on and is built for hovering above the choppy waters. The only issue is that foil boards require speed and skill. If you don't know what you're doing, Z will either happily launch you off in a graceful, physics-defying arc that ends in you belly flopping into the ocean, or you will simply slowly and very embarrassingly start sinking into the water. Number 2. I was so close. Could have been perfect. That's also what my parents told me. What were we talking about again? Anyway, it has a beautiful shape, it's got great lines, and it's basically a very promising board. But then someone crashed it hard into rocks. Now it's a surfboard with a literal hole punched through the middle. And if you have the most basic idea of how floating on water works, hole equals bad. Okay, so it actually might still float somehow, just maybe not very fast. Instead, you're going to be left feeling like you've just survived the Titanic. But honestly, maybe if you simply used your back foot to plug the hole, it could actually work. Number 1. L. Okay, so we're being specific for this one. It's a lowercase L, but it is the most unintentionally perfect surfboard shape on the entire planet. It's basically just a line, a clean, straight, elegant plank. You can easily turn on it, you can carve on it, you can accelerate on it without fighting any surprise appendages, and I suppose it doesn't feature a fin, but if you're good enough at surfing, you don't need one anyway. Trust me, I've surfed once in my life. Oh wait, no, that was paddleboarding. Never mind. There are some amazing letter pools out there, but number 1 didn't get the message. This thing is incapable of holding water for more than 2 seconds. Just try to pour a bucket in, go ahead. Yeah, see how it politely escorts it straight back out again like a bouncer removing me from a club after too many shots. There is literally nowhere for the water to gather, but hey, who am I to judge? Maybe your dream pool experience does involve chasing puddles as they run away from you. Number 9. 2. Initially, you might be thinking this is an upgrade, sort of. Yeah, but in the same way that having a paper umbrella is technically an upgrade from, say, having nothing. Unfortunately, it suffers from the same pitfalls as there's nowhere for the water to sit. Containment doesn't seem to be the top priority when creating numbers, I guess. Even the number itself feels embarrassed to be here. It's like, listen, I'm a digit, not plumbing. Number 8. 6. Now we're getting into the numbers that almost work, but still feel like fireable design choices. You see, 6 has a nice enclosed shape. The first number, which actually so far has the ability to keep water within its walls. It even has a little hatch at the top, a kind of accidental skylight door hybrid where you crawl in like you're entering a submarine. For your sake, I hope it's not the Ocean Gate one. Once you're inside, you realize it has a closer feeling to a flotation chamber, a sensory deprivation tank of sorts, or rather, as I'd describe it, a steel drum of anxiety. Since there's no windows, you can't tell if it's day or night. Could even be next week. Imagine how shriveled and prune-like your fingers would be once you crawl out of this. But anyway, without lights, your only companions are the echoes of your own panicked breathing and the suspicion that you accidentally sealed yourself into a number-shaped crypt. How relaxing. Number 7. 0. 0, shockingly, holds water better than most IKEA bathtubs. After all, it's a perfect loop, not a leak in sight. Number engineers everywhere would be proud. One downside that completely ruins the experience though, you can't actually get inside. It contains water beautifully, see that's the problem. It has an impenetrable barrier making it impossible to get in. So you stand there shivering in your swim shorts, watching your perfect pool swirl gently behind the impassable wall. Every moment is a reminder that the best things in life are indeed inaccessible. Number 6. 7. Alright, okay, stop. First of all, if you did the 6-7 meme dance when I said that, you need to leave. This video is not for you. This is a mature, serious video about evaluating digits as recreational water structures. Please control yourself. Anyway, 7. Yeah, for starters, it barely qualifies as a pool. I'd actually describe it as a ramp. If, however, you manage to climb it, and that's a big if. The good news is that it does function as a water slide, a very fast one. Like all these numbers though, there is a downside. The slide ends on solid ground because there is no splash zone, not even like a little pool to slightly cushion the impact. So yeah, you accelerate to highway speeds and then have a surprising amount of bones sticking out afterwards. Hey, at least it's exciting. Number 5. 9. 9 is, in theory, a charming pool. A nice bowl shape. It's actually, now I think about it, an elevated pool on the second floor. Pretty luxurious. The problem, you realize, comes the moment you try to climb the outer ramp to get in. Because guess what? There's a leak. And it's a persistent one. The entire slope is coated in a thin layer of water. Every step you try and take just sends you slipping back down to the bottom. Even if you kept trying all day, which I know you will because you're stubborn, you'd keep sliding. And eventually you stop because you no longer have enough skin on your elbows to continue. Okay, this makes me think. Note to self, things to pack when going swimming. Trunks, check. Towel, check. Oh yeah, and a grappling hook. Number 4. 3. This one enters the scene ready to party, if you're willing to cheat. Flip it sideways and suddenly you've unlocked the Dual Pool Deluxe model, a choice of 2 identical pools. Lucky you, most numbers on here don't even offer the choice of 1. Anyway, this thing is perfect for massive parties, people doing cannonballs all over the place. But of course, it only works sideways. In its normal orientation, it's trash. When it's the normal way around, you might be able to fill up each floor with a tiny bit of water, but most of it would flow back out again when you you step in. Comparable to, say, playing in a puddle. Pretty sad. It could have been first place if geometry weren't such a stickler for the rules. Oh well. Number 3. 4. Number 4 tries something bold. Elevation. This is the rooftop infinity pool of numerals. It's an upper level basin that feels like it belongs in a futuristic hotel where they charge you $17 for a bottle of sparkling water. I mean, this one does work up to a point. I mean, think about it. You're getting height and visibility. The issue is the structural integrity, or lack thereof, because 4 only has 1 point touching the ground. Filling this thing becomes a test of faith. Because, okay, well, let's experiment with this. Let's see what happens the moment we add too much water. Yeah, okay, we can see it's wobbling like a baby deer stepping on ice. 1 more litre and the entire pool begins its slow, inevitable sideways collapse. Number 2. 8. 8 is what happens when a number genuinely tries. Introducing the double-story twin pools. Okay, I'm noticing a lot of double-story ones recently. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Look at how symmetrical it is. It's so satisfying and, most importantly, practical. The top and bottom sections give you options. If you want privacy, go top. Looking for easy access? I'd recommend bottom. Oh, heads up though, this is one of those fancier pools. It's like $100 for a day in here. When you get there, mention my name, Doodle Digest, and they might knock a few bucks off. They know me around here. Number 1. 5. By far the most naturally gifted pool shape of the digits. I mean, look at it. It's got a wide open section at the bottom, easy to slip into, a round base so you don't bash your toes. I mean, think about it. You can just walk in, sit there, float around. No contortions, no climbing gear, just a genuinely functional pool. If it snowed super heavy, which would be the best letter to sled down it? Well, it certainly wouldn't be H. This thing is an absolute menace on the snow. There's just no correct way to use it. Stand it upright and it just sits there, refusing to acknowledge gravity. Lay it flat and, yeah, it moves. For about 3 seconds. Then the inside front part fills with snow like you've accidentally invented a very inefficient shovel. Now you're forced to drag an H-shaped block of compacted snow uphill while questioning why you even came outside today and what stupid person invented sledding. But hey, at least you'll get your workout for the day. Number 9. V. V starts off strong, and you're probably surprised, honestly, that this thing isn't like number 1 or number 2. But alright, let's play this out. If you tip it onto its side and then climb inside, for a moment it feels like you've figured something out, something that other people missed. It's sliding nicely, and it holds you in place. So you're thinking, oh, this might actually work. I'm a genius. How foolish and naive you were back then. Because you failed to take into account the angles of your chosen sled here. It starts pushing itself underneath the snow. Not dramatically, just enough that you get confused and notice you're losing speed. Eventually though, you've tunneled completely into the snow and it looks like you're going to be trapped here for a while. And something tells me this isn't going to end well. Could have something to do with the LiveLeak logo that just appeared in the corner. Bonus feature, flip it into a W and now 2 people can experience this disappointment at the same time. Lovely stuff. Number 8. T. T is one of those designs that sounds good when you say it out loud. Flip it upside down and suddenly you've got a flat platform to stand on and a big pole in the middle to hold on to. Very reassuring, and you can keep trying to tell yourself this was designed on purpose. And to be fair, it does work. A marvel of engineering, if you will. You literally just stand there, grip the pole, and slide downhill without immediately falling over. The problem is speed, or lack of it. That upright section catches so much air, you move like you're wading through invisible syrup. Yeah, sorry, I didn't really understand physics in school, alright? That's why I picked this sled. It's so tragic that even people walk faster than you. Now you're just paranoid and embarrassed. It feels like everyone's just laughing at you. Well, probably because they are. Number 7. E. E is extremely picky about who it works with. It's kinda like Gus from Breaking Bad. But anyway, try using it on your own and it immediately becomes unstable, digging one side into the snow and sending you off balance. But bring a friend who weighs exactly the same as you and suddenly it's functional. It's not fast by any means because of the sharp corners, but it's still functional. If you sit on opposite sides, you'll be perfectly balanced, like a weird snowy science experiment. However, the moment one of you shifts even slightly, the illusion of this being an efficient sled is shattered. It requires a lot of calculations and possibly a set of scales beforehand. Yeah, also make sure both you and your friend eat the exact same meal before trying this one out. Number 6. Okay, I'm not going to reveal the next letter just yet, because this one starts as a literal dot. A little full stop sitting at the top of the hill, doing absolutely nothing. But kick it down hard enough and it starts picking up snow, and more snow, and more snow. Yeah, okay, you get the point. Eventually you've got a massive rolling snowball, or the letter O, as we humans call it. You can't really ride it unless your goal is to be flattened. I mean, you can try running on top of it like in one of those cartoons, but hey, at least what you can do is make some incredible snowmen afterwards. So no, O won't take you downhill, at least not without you staying undamaged, but it will absolutely dominate the winter scene. Number 5. G. Rotate G 90 degrees to the left and suddenly things get intense. Kinda like what I imagine squeezing into an F1 car is like. Everything on the outside though is curved and very committed to speed. I would say this one is easily the fastest on this list so far, which sounds great until you suddenly mid-ride remember that hills have bottoms, and those bottoms usually contain trees, which by the looks of things you will shortly become a part of, and G does not slow down politely, or at all actually. You basically reach terminal velocity at this point, and because you're smart, I assume you've planned your exit in advance, right? No, of course you didn't. Oh dear. Number 4. Y. Y is surprisingly reasonable. You lay it on its longest edge and now you've got one of those standing sleds. You're essentially standing upright and actually able to look around instead of staring directly at snow rushing toward your face. And although it's not fast, it kind of feels intentional. Makes me think this is a sightseeing sled. You're here to actually relax and have some fun. You get to enjoy the view, you know? Feel the frosty wind on your face. Honestly, this is probably the safest way to enjoy a hill without becoming part of the terrain. I would genuinely go on one of these. Number 3. U. U is cozy, almost suspiciously cozy. You sit inside and it kind of hugs you, like it's trying to protect you from the outside world. I mean, it is really just one big curve. No weird angles on the outside catching the snow either. It glides nicely, but balance is everything. Lean too far and you're tipping over. But if you get it right, it's smooth and comfortable. Also, yes, you can bring someone else along. Great for, say, a first date, if you're okay with immediately skipping over several stages of personal space. Number 2. Lowercase l. Lowercase l is basically just a plank, which sounds underwhelming until you remember that skis are also basically just planks. So here's the move. Grab 2 of them, wax them up baby, strap them to your feet, and wham bam thank you ma'am, you're skiing. But this is absolutely not beginner friendly. If you don't know what you're doing, then you're probably going to be falling immediately and repeatedly. Although if you do happen to be a pro who's skied a couple of times in your life, maybe won a few comps in the Swiss Alps, this is one of the best options available. And yeah, before you comment, this one's not a sled, blah, blah, blah. We had a literal giant snowball on this list, and honestly, we've bent the rules before, and don't pretend you don't love it. And finally, number 1, drum roll please. Lowercase j. Yay. Nah, but seriously, this thing feels unfair. It has the shape right, it's got loads of room inside, and a speed that's exciting without being actively hostile. It just feels like it was actually meant for this. But that's not all, folks, because then there's that dot. Oh, the dot. It's genius. It creates a little gap where snow gets ejected out as you move, spraying everything behind you. It looks like some sort of winter jet ski. It keeps the sled from filling up, it controls your speed, but most importantly, it absolutely ruins your friend's day if they're following you. Things that cross my mind when I can't sleep at 3 AM. What numbers would be best as chairs? My conclusion was that it most certainly wouldn't be the number 1. Reason being, it's just a vertical spike. And as we learned from another video involving turning letters into chairs, this doesn't really end well for anyone involved. If you try to sit on it, the situation resolves itself very quickly and very painfully. I think we can all roughly predict the outcome here, and I'm choosing not to animate that, for everyone's benefit. Number 9. 7. You might be wondering why 7 is this low, because from certain angles it almost looks very usable. I mean, there's a flat bit, you've got yourself a bit of height, but I feel like it's better if I just let you figure out for yourself why this one sucks as a chair. So go on, climb up and sit in it. Oh yeah, there you go. And yeah, see how long that lasted? The entire thing tips over instantly because it's balancing on one single leg. You genuinely have better odds balancing on a unicycle whilst holding a bowl of soup. And I'm not even that mad at the chair designer. I'm actually mad at you for even trying to sit in it. But surely you saw it had one leg and thought to yourself, this probably won't work. I'm gonna avoid this seat entirely. But evidently not. Sorry, yeah, that's my bad for assuming you have a brain. Number 8. 0. 0 is basically a yoga ball pretending to be furniture. Like, this one does come with a lot of involuntary movement. Like when sitting down, it's pretty much unavoidable. Not violent or anything like that, but just enough to make you aware that you're no longer in control. Okay, let's break it down. Let's think about the things that you could do practically with this. You could do yoga. Okay, that about wraps up the useful side. Now, what wouldn't you be able to do with this? Let's see. Drinking water, studying, building a house of cards, doing pretty much anything that doesn't involve moving. Yeah, you'd bounce once and then again, and before you know it, you're headbutting the ceiling while your chair rolls away from the desk. It's fun in the way that trampolines are fun, which is not the same kind of fun you want from a chair. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to bounce on it a little bit. Big round objects do that to people. Number 7, 9. Alright, since you've already demonstrated you have the mind of a toddler, this next one was built for you. See, it's a high chair. It has all the characteristics of one since it's elevated and slightly enclosed. So, if you're a baby, this is probably fine. However, if you're not, you're going to spend the entire time feeling slightly unsafe. Not to mention the question of why you're attempting to sit in a baby's seat, being a fully grown adult. It's just kind of embarrassing. But anyway, since there's no real restraint and you're sitting higher than feels reasonable, safe to say, if you lean too much either way, you're going to be breaking a few bones on impact when you fall off. Number 6. 8. Okay, so if 0 was 1 yoga ball, clearly 8 is just 2 yoga balls stacked on top of each other, which already feels like someone ignoring common sense, like balancing on a single ball wasn't hard enough. But no, let's just stack another one on, and now we've got a chair that actively wants to escape from underneath you. I could just picture it now, sitting down and then one side shifts, which causes the other side to react, and suddenly you're on the floor trying to figure out what happened. You were an idiot. That's what happened. Number 5. 2. 2 is interesting because it gives you choices. You can sit on the left curve, the right curve, or maybe even on that little perch underneath and let your legs dangle. None of these options are perfect, but all of them technically work. It's a very do what you want kind of chair. I will say though, if you do choose to sit on the bottom part, it isn't the comfiest. Last time I used this, my neck was aching for hours. It really forces you to sit with your head at a 90-degree angle. So yeah, probably best to avoid that spot, unless you're a gamer, in which case you're probably a seasoned professional at sitting in the worst positions possible for 12 hours straight. Number 4. 5. This is one of the more thoughtful designs on the list. Your experience changes depending on which way you sit on it. Face left and you're basically sitting against a big cube, because this part of the 5 has a right angle. I personally wouldn't choose this option because I fidget a bit much and I like to swing my legs underneath any chair I sit on, and this one is pretty restrictive in that aspect, so negative points from me for that. But if you face the right, you've got a curve where your feet can rest, which is genuinely nice. As chairs go, this one feels like it considered the human body for at least a moment. Number 3. 4. Now 4 is a mixed barrel of qualities. Unfortunately, not all of them good. Let's start with the positive though. It possesses probably one of the most impressive and functional backrests seen in any number so far. I don't care if you're Kevin Hart or a giant like LeBron James. That backrest is supporting all heights of people. Pretty sure even a giraffe would give this a thumbs up. The problem though is the seat itself. Now, okay, I'm not going to get too mad at whoever created numbers, alright? Like, I get it. They weren't going for ergonomics when they created them. But I am slightly frustrated knowing just how good this one could have been if they'd just given it a few more inches. That's all I need, just a few more inches. Wait, what? Oh yeah, we were talking about the seat base, right? It's very short. Nothing else. It's just the seat base that is too short. Moving on, you can only fit part of yourself on it, and the rest of you is just sort of hovering. This works in the same way that bus shelter seats work. I feel like they're more designed to lean on, like its sole function is for waiting. It's not something you choose for relaxing. Number 2. 6. Again, another one with such great potential. The seat is rounded and cushioned in a way that actually feels pleasant. After sitting down, you're nicely surprised to find that your weight is distributed nicely. But as you may have figured, there's always a downside, which unfortunately makes it narrowly miss out on the number 1 spot. The issue is once again with the backrest. I've got to stop shopping at Number IKEA. Only they would sell a chair with a backrest so bent at an angle that somehow it lines up perfectly with the back of your neck. Like, not your shoulders, not your back, your neck. So instead of relaxing, you're constantly being prodded and you're stuck constantly readjusting, leaning forward slightly and just trying to escape the pressure. Number 1. 3. If you suspend it off the ground, it becomes the perfect egg chair. Take a seat in the lower curve and it gently rocks back and forth, which is exactly what you want from a chair you plan on using for more than 5 minutes. It's so comfortable that you could probably actually fall asleep in this thing. In fact, I might even replace my bed with one of these things. At first glance, you feels like it might actually work. Yeah, right, this thing was doomed before it even went in the ground. After lowering it in, you take a step back and realise you put it in upside down, but already can't be bothered to change it and your city just got nuked, so in you go, great. Now let's pour in the dirt. As it fills up, you realise there's nothing above you to stop that dirt from falling straight into your living space. Everything inside, including yourself, just gets buried. Your supplies, your bedding, you're probably going to be sleeping with the worms tonight. So yeah, certified safety rating of 0. Just think, when archaeologists of the future dig up your bones from the dirt, they'll immediately know you were an idiot based on the way you buried your shelter the wrong way round. Number 9. I. I barely qualifies as a bunker. While the dirt is being poured in, it gives you a small moment of protection. You know, from that little sticky out part at the top, it's almost like it's wearing a baseball cap. Once everything settles though, you're basically surrounded by earth with no separation. Dirt presses in from every side because there's nothing to stop it. You don't have walls, so much as a vague outline of where the walls might have been. I guess maybe this was like a prototype of a bunker. Maybe this was just one of the support beams, but the rest of the walls and stuff just got lost in transit. So maybe this one wasn't entirely your fault. Let's blame Amazon Prime instead. Number 8. H. H is the first one in this list that doesn't instantly kill you, which, believe it or not, is the main aim of most shelters. When it's first installed, it feels solid. I could just see it now, you staring proudly at it like a dad with a new grill. It's got sidewalls, a roof, and enough space to move around without crouching. For a while, it does exactly what you want a bunker to do. The problem is time. See, we don't know how long this nuclear crap could last. It could be years. And over that time, dirt settles and pressure increases. Small weaknesses become big problems. Think about it. Week 1, it's a little crack in the wall, but month 3, and it's a massive crevice. And that slow realization that your roof might give up is not something you want during a bombardment. Eventually, the ceiling starts to look suspicious. You notice sagging, and eventually, yeah, it caves in. Number 7. G. G is half committed. This one's a bit interesting because you install it partly into the ground with the lower section buried and the tail sticking out above the surface. The underground portion actually gives you a decent protection. You can feel shielded from impact and debris. The issue is that exposed section. It's not exactly subtle. It's highly visible, and visibility is bad in this scenario. It also creates a weak point for anything you're trying to keep out, whether it's radiation, debris, or unwanted attention. G works, but it also advertises itself, which feels like a design flaw. Number 6. E. E finally gives you something that feels engineered, as if the designer looked at letters like I and U and realized these are failures to learn from. Ladies and gentlemen, we have flat floors and straight walls. You can put things down without them rolling away. Wow, this is revolutionary technology. Now you can organize your canned chicken tendies. Stack them up, buddy. The downside though is the dirt's persistence. Over time, soil pushes in through every possible opening. So corners start filling up, edges are starting to get clogged. Put it this way, you'll spend a lot of time shoveling dirt back out of the spaces you just cleared. E keeps you safe, but it also gives you chores, and they are constant ones. So you'll be surviving, but you're going to be busy doing it. Number 5. R. R is, what word could I use? Oh, I know, ambitious. It gives you 2 living spaces, which sounds alright until you actually start using them. The upper rounded section appears cozy. Perhaps it's the one you might choose to live in. Yeah, big mistake. Yeah, see, the curves mean you are always sliding towards the wall. Even sitting becomes a challenge. The lower section is more practical, but the roof angle is low enough that you're always aware of it. You can't really forget where your head is. I mean, you can definitely live in here, I'm not doubting that, but you'll always be adjusting your posture and your position. In other words, you're never quite going to be fully relaxed. Number 4. M. M is actually very promising. Structurally, it's solid, actually providing the bunker with 4 solid beams for support. Not only that, but the weight distributes well. Just look at that symmetry. The roof also stays where it's meant to be, which is an added bonus. And did I mention, there's enough space to bring a neighbor, which could be comforting or catastrophic depending on who that neighbor is. Knowing my luck, I get stuck with someone like IShowSpeed screaming his head off at 3 AM. The real highlights to this one though is that you've got defined areas with decent headroom and no constant maintenance issues. It doesn't try to be clever or anything fancy, it just holds up. In a bunker, that's a very valuable trait. Number 3. N. If you're willing to sacrifice company, in other words, you've just remembered you're extremely introverted and hate most human contact, N becomes a very strong choice. You get a lot of space, more than expected actually, and the angled structure does a great job of keeping you intact. There is a downside, of course, like with all these designs, which is that the floor is just bare ground, which isn't luxurious, but it's much more favourable than having dirt absolutely everywhere. In terms of practicality, you can lay things down and move around, and nothing is slowly collapsing. N feels stable in a quiet and reliable way. You lose the option of bringing someone else, but you do gain peace and a structure that doesn't keep you up at night. Number 2. O. O is almost ideal. The shape distributes pressure evenly, which means nothing caves in. And hang on, I feel like my logic is tight there. Like, I swear I remember an experiment where someone stood on a single leg and it didn't crack. I might be making that up, but you get my point. You feel protected from all sides is what I'm trying to say. The issue is the interior. It's one big circular room and the floor has a slight curve. I can't put anything down in here without it automatically being rolled back to my feet. You'll find yourself repositioning things just to keep them where you left them. Still, those are small problems. You kind of forget about those as you hear the constant bombardment from above. As far as bunkers go, O does almost everything right. Number 1. A is the clear winner. The structure naturally deflects dirt away from the interior, so nothing from above or the sides forces its way in. You get 2 levels, which immediately makes life underground more manageable. The upper section has a small gap that works perfectly for storage, so food, supplies, things you don't need constantly can be stored in there. And that lower section gives you a proper living area with a flat floor and enough room to function like a person instead of a panicked animal. Point being, if you had to bury yourself and wait out the worst, this is the shape you'd want surrounding you. You ever think what symbol would make a really good pool? Well, it's safe to say that it probably wouldn't be an underscore, which somehow manages to be worse than just digging a hole and calling it a day. Yeah, this is basically a slippery floor pretending it belongs near water. There's a noticeable lack of walls. Well, there's none at all, actually. If you pour water in it, it just spreads out in every direction like it's got somewhere else to be. Probably wants to be doing anything but watching this dumb video. But yeah, get your wet floor signs out, because the moment someone steps near it, it becomes a slip hazard rather than a swimming experience. So I doubt you'll be swimming here much. You're more likely just going to be wet and angry. It's the kind of thing you'd find after someone said, "Yeah, I'll clean that up later," and just never bothered. Number 9, exclamation point. The exclamation point really wants to be involved. I mean, the energy is there, you can feel it. Unfortunately, the execution is not. See, the main feature here is the vertical line. In fact, it's more like the only feature here. It's essentially a ridiculously tall diving board. Picture being at the top of this thing, your legs would start shaking uncontrollably. You take one look down and realize, oh, there's no actual pool underneath. Just ground, or concrete. Or something equally unforgiving. It's got a great structure, but when it's completely missing the most important part, it's hard to put it higher in this list, especially considering the fact you're now just a bag of mushed bones on the floor. Number 8, square bracket. Now, you already know I'm guilty of bending the rules now and again in these videos, and okay, I know a lot of you hate it when I do that. Which is exactly why I'm going to do it again anyway. Rotate the square bracket to the right and now you've got walls, which already feels like progress. The issue though is the height. The walls are tiny. Like imagine turning up here ready for a swim, but instead you find out you're going to be doing some prime paddling. Yeah, really get those toes wet. I mean, you can try sitting in it, but the water barely covers anything useful. Your knees are definitely cold and your torso is most likely dry. To be honest, you would have had more coverage if you'd have just sit in a sink. Now I can't knock all marks off it since it does technically contain water, which puts it above several entries, but only just, as it does feel like something designed for toddlers. Number 7, $sign. The symbol of true economic stability and growth. The $sign looks promising until you actually try to use it. I can't knock it for shape, hey, it's really putting in the work of terms of aesthetics. Unfortunately here, looking good isn't the most important thing, or at least that's what my mum tells me. Yeah, now that I think about it, I think she's just indirectly calling me ugly. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I was saying if you pour water in it, it just kind of rolls off, but leaves a slight pool in the bottom segment there. It's still pretty useless though. The curves don't line up, the structure wobbles, and to be honest, the whole thing just feels like it might collapse if I were to put a second dollar right next to it. There's just something about this situation. Is that a greater than symbol flying in? Number 6, ampersand. This one hurts, it really does, because it was actually so close to being great. In terms of shape, chef's kiss. Like, it's rounded, it's contained, and it looks actually deep enough to swim in, which, believe it or not, is a selling point for a lot of people when it comes to a pool. And walking up to it, you think, yeah, this could work. Then you realize there's no way in. Not a set of steps or a little gap, quite literally no point of entry. It's completely sealed. So you just stood there, staring at a perfect little pool you're not allowed to access. It feels like some sort of cruel design exercise. The water is right there, you just can't have it. Number 5, hashtag. Like the last entry, the hashtag once again almost pulls it off. The top middle section can actually hold a decent amount of water. You could sit in there and even relax for a bit. The problem is everything around it. All the other sections are wide open, so water just leaves immediately. You fill one area and it just drains away like it never wanted to be there in the first place. It's frustrating because you can see the potential. Like, you saw my vision here, come on, admit it. One small tweak and this would have worked. As it is though, you end up with one usable square and a bunch of wet ground. Number 4, Armenian Kh. This is where the list suddenly gets unfair. Armenian Kh, and I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong, is an excellent shaped pool. Deep enough to leisurely swim in, smooth walls that won't destroy your shins, and a shape that actually makes sense. I mean, clearly that raised platform on the left is there for jumping, and I'm talking big jumps, the kind where everyone else gets out first. The architecture here actually feels intentional in a way that most symbols so far don't. Like someone considered comfort, as well as safety, and fun all at once. I feel like, how can it even get better than this? Number 3. @ symbol. The @ symbol is effort-based. Even just getting into it is a whole thing. You have to climb up the inner curve, which is a pretty tough challenge in itself. It does take time, but trust me, once you're in, it's great. This is exactly what you needed after the hashtag pool was already way too full of other people. And hey, I haven't even mentioned its best feature yet. When you're done, because you're all wet now, you can just slide back out the same way you came in. Have fun with that. That's actually probably more fun than the pool itself. Number 2. Greater than symbol. Rotate it right and it works, like genuinely works. The walls are there, the shape holds water, and it feels like a proper pool too. The only issue is the corners. They're pretty sharp and they're waiting for you. Every step with this thing has got to be done super slowly and carefully, like you're negotiating with the geometry. That's why it's not number 1, because you actually have to mentally adjust how you use it. And also because of the fact that I had to modify it. We can't put a modded symbol into first place. The comments would just be chaos. Honourable mention. And this one is, it's ridiculous. It's the Armenians. They're back at it again with their crazy symbols. Were they just obsessed with their characters being pools or something? They've built an entire water park here. Literally 2 massive pools with a shared tall diving board. What more could you possibly want? It's also partly disqualified from Top Spot because I don't even know what the Armenian pronunciation of this symbol is. I mean, just look at the name of it in English. It's like 5 words. Number 1. Integral symbol. Oh yes, it's built for people who enjoy a bit of risk. So it is a pool if you look at the bottom there. It's just completely overshadowed by that absolutely massive slide that leads into it. And just a heads up beforehand, you probably will reach terminal velocity on this thing. This whole contraption feels like something you find on holiday where the rules are technically written down somewhere but no one checks. And when you hit the pool at the bottom, I half expect all the water to be flung out to the side as well as your entire body. Enjoy your trip to the emergency room. I heard it's particularly decorative this time of year. So recently we looked at what's the best letter to keep water in, but what about to keep water out to use as a submarine? Well, it definitely wouldn't be L, which immediately fails the most important requirement of a submarine. It doesn't even try to keep you dry. The moment this thing even touches the ocean, the water starts rushing in. That's mainly down to it having no sealed section. I imagine in boardrooms wherever they make submarines, probably Denmark or something, I don't know. They probably write a list of things their submersible vehicle should have, and 100% of the time, I guarantee you, the first bullet point they make before cup holders is a sealed section. Thinking about it, you wouldn't even have time to panic properly. 1 second you're lowering it into the water, and then the next you're fully submerged and wondering why anyone thought this was even worth testing. L really is just that, an L, and it's a solid reminder that surprisingly underwater vehicles need walls. Number 9. H. H looks slightly more promising at first, which makes the disappointment hit harder. Now I'm going to let you choose where to sit, top or bottom. Spoiler alert, there's no real answer. I just want to see which dumb option you choose. Oh, okay, you've chosen top. Interesting choice. Let's just see how this plays out. Okay, fellas, bring it in. Let's pour over the water. Yeah, what a surprise. See, what's happening there is you're doing something known in technical jargon as drowning like a moron, because immediately and from everywhere, water fills all the gaps. The sides don't really help, and before you know it, you're basically sitting in a bathtub that's sinking. There's no pressure resistance, it just lets the water do what it does. So yeah, H doesn't protect you from the ocean even slightly. Number 8. U. Okay, getting marginally better, and I do mean absolutely marginally. If you flip U upside down and try to walk into the water with it above your head, you've gone full Pirates of the Caribbean territory. I don't know if you've watched the film, but this is the improvised submarine method that they used. In theory, you trap some air inside and then march into the ocean, staying completely dry on your top half. I mean, hey, if Captain Jack Sparrow can do it, then why can't I? Jokes aside, this is arguably one of the dumbest so far because it's completely unrealistic and only works if you're operating on movie logic. I mean, in the film, that was like the biggest thing that lost my sense of immersion. Not the ghost pirates or the nonsensical curse on a chest. No, it was the unrealistic boat physics. That just crosses the line. Anyway, for most people, this is just a slow way to get wet whilst pretending you had a plan. Number 7. A. A is the first letter on this list that actually gives you a dry space. It's not a big one by any means, but it counts. The enclosed section keeps water out, which already puts it ahead of most entries. Stick a couple of propellers at the base of the A, and you've got something that can actually move around a bit. Although, obviously, the problem is space, or rather lack thereof. Yeah, cabin room is extremely limited. Wasn't exactly built with human anatomy in mind. I'd say there's a good chance you're going to be getting very well acquainted with your knees. Put it this way, when you get back out of this thing, you're probably going to be stuck in that tuck position for a while. Still, it works. It's uncomfortable, but it's functional. Number 6. O. O makes a lot of sense from an engineering standpoint. Alright folks, sit down and shut up, it's physics lesson time. You, talking in the back of the class, get out. Okay, now that that clown's gone, listen to this. Submarines deal with immense pressure, and circular shapes distribute that pressure evenly. That's why real submarines use cylindrical or rounded hulls. O can handle being deep underwater without collapsing in on itself. It's perfect for slow exploration, especially for filming sea life or cruising along the ocean floor. You might have even seen a David Attenborough documentary filmed by one of these things. But of course, like all letters that weren't actually designed to be submarines, which is all of them, there is always a big pitfall. One word: movement. Because of its spherical shape, it doesn't slice well through the water. Any voyage in this one is going to take at least several hours, considering you're moving at a relaxed pace, roughly comparable to a jellyfish that's not in a hurry. Number 5. D. This one's surprisingly practical. You get a decent amount of interior space and, importantly, a flat floor. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to place equipment like navigation systems or seats or what else actually goes in a submarine? A coffee maker? I don't know. But it just makes it that bit easier to stand without sliding into a wall. It's actually a very well thought out design when you look at it. The curved side handles pressure well. The flat side gives you flat structure. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it feels stable and usable. So I'd say that this is a submarine that feels like it was designed by someone who thought about comfort. Number 4. Q. Q takes things up a notch. That long tail sticking out isn't just decorative, it's basically a massive propeller. I mean, come on, this thing can straight up schmoove. You don't have to worry about drifting or getting stuck behind a slow-moving school of jellyfish. You can just power through them. Caution, though, might make a bit of a mess. The main body handles pressure nicely, and the propulsion gives you proper control. It's a little awkward to dock given it has no flat surfaces, but once you're moving, it feels strong and capable. Q means real sub-nautical business. Number 3. P. P is small, but that works in its favour. It's nimble and easy to control, making it absolutely ideal for short trips. It's kind of like the Toyota Supra of submarines. This feels like the kind of submarine you'd rent on a holiday for an afternoon. You know, you're not going deep diving or anything like that, or even staying down too long. I doubt this thing even has oxygen tanks big enough to last you longer than 30 minutes. So, whilst you're having a good time looking at coral reefs, try not to forget that. Could end badly. Other than that, everything else is close, controls are within reach, and you don't feel like you're fighting the vehicle. Yes, it's simple and effective, but most importantly, it's fun. Number 2. R. This is an improvement on A in almost every way. For one, you get more cabin space, which immediately makes longer journeys more tolerable, especially if there's annoying kids in there with you. Secondly, the shape allows for dual propellers, giving you better speed and control, so you can actually explore at a decent pace without feeling rattled or cramped. It's comfortable enough to stay in for a while and fast enough to feel capable. All in all, R feels like a suitable exploration submarine rather than a novelty. Number 1. B. And finally, this is the real deal. 2 distinct rooms that give you space for operating systems and actual living conditions. The shape handles pressure well, and the 2 separate compartments make sense for all the crew on board. This could be used for long trips or more scarily realistic reasons like naval invasion. With the way things are going today, hopefully not anytime soon. But anyway, if you had to go underwater and stay there for a while, B is the letter you'd want wrapped around you. What letter makes the best safe? You might think T, but you'd be an idiot. It looks more like a street lamppost, but you try it out anyway. So you borrow your uncle's wooden ladder and you can technically stash some spare change on the top, maybe a few notes folded really tightly, and rely on the fact that no one ever looks up. I mean, people walk past these things all day and never once think, I wonder what valuables are balanced above my head. That part actually works surprisingly well. The problem starts when you try to store heavier things. Cold hard cash has weight, bags of it definitely do, but think about it. One gust of wind, one uneven placement, and the whole thing tips over like it's had enough. And most likely in the middle of the night when you aren't there. Now your money's on the ground and your safe has become evidence. Number 9. N. N is clever in a way that immediately backfires. The idea here is to embed it into a wall. So let's go ahead and find a nice thick concrete structure. Cut a precise hole, fill the N with all your suspiciously obtained cash. Oh, and remember you have both the top and bottom to fill in. And once it is full, you slide it in so it sits perfectly flush to the wall. And the final result is from the outside, it looks like part of the building. It's got no handles or seams or anything to grab onto. It's genuinely impossible to remove, which is great as far as money safes go. You can't really get safer than this until the day that your rent is due and you remember that you also can't get it back out. At this point, it's actually stopped being a safe and more just a donation to the property. A little tip on how to get it out: I hope you like working with explosives. Number 8. E. E is what happens when you mistake shelving for security. This is the equivalent of walking into a supermarket, choosing an aisle, and deciding that's where your money lives now. You place your cash on the various horizontal sections and feel organized for about 5 seconds. You can neatly face up all of the money. You can fit a surprising amount on there. Looks lovely, but there's no lid, no lock, and no deterrent. Anyone's grandma doing her weekly shop could walk past and see everything. Yoink. On the plus side, it's very easy to access. On the downside, everyone else thinks the same thing. Number 7. I. Now this is the minimalist option. It's as if you take a plank or a piece of cardboard and then slide your money underneath. That's literally it. That's the system. It's not secure in any meaningful way, but it also doesn't draw attention. Thieves are actually usually looking for something obvious, and I doesn't scream valuables here. It just looks like a homeless person's abandoned sleeping area. That might actually work in your favor. Still, if anyone accidentally nudges it, it will be the best day of their life. So yeah, this is less of a safe and more of a gamble based on human laziness. Number 6. H. You can imagine H as a joint bank account, because you do get 2 compartments to store your valuables in. The bottom section is where you put everything you care about, things like cash, documents, maybe your overpriced Lego sets, and it's enclosed enough to feel secure. The top section, on the other hand, is wide open, and that's where you put the belongings of people you don't particularly like, but have to put up with. People like annoying co-workers, distant relatives, that one friend that never pays you back. Their stuff goes up top, visible to everyone. If someone comes along and steals it, that's not really your problem. I mean, in an ideal scenario, a drone shows up and airlifts the entire top section away. H protects what matters by sacrificing everything else. Number 5. X. Yeah, this one only really works on one side. So thinking about it, why would they name a whole website after this one? Haha, yeah, funny. My humor is just getting worse. But anyway, after it's been placed down, the bottom section keeps whatever's underneath relatively safe. It is accessible, although it is a bit unconventional. Yeah, you're gonna lift it and rotate it 90 degrees every time you want to get something out. Kind of like a revolving door, but for your cool stuff. Then you put it back down again on a fresh pile of cash so that it's now protected instead. It's a constant rotation system. The flaw, though, is obvious. Anyone can do this. A thief doesn't need tools or planning, just the ability to turn an object. So even if it's a chimp that shows up, you're still getting robbed at banana point. Number 4. O. O looks brilliant, and you're probably shocked that it's not number 1. I get why. I mean, it's completely enclosed. It has no seams or obvious way in. I'm sure you'd put all your belongings in and feel very confident. You never learn. See, what you forgot to take into account is that you live on top of Mount Stickmore, and because O is round, it means it rolls. Yeah, you don't need to be a genius to see where I'm going with this. Unlike your safe, which you didn't see going as it rolled away whilst you were dreaming about your Club Penguin days. And as you wake up the next morning after discovering Club Penguin was taken down years ago, the next bit of horrifying news is revealed as you realise your entire life savings has quietly left in the night. And knowing you, being a smart saver, you filled it with gold and other heavy precious metals, meaning it's now a massive, unstoppable object causing damage as it travels, destroying cars, fences, small buildings. If you do actually ever manage to recover it, you'll probably need the money inside to pay for the destruction it caused. Number 3. A. A is pretty solid, but limited. The top segment gives you a small enclosed space that works well as a safe. You can fit a pile of cash in there, maybe 2 if you stack it neatly. However, you'll notice that the space is extremely tight. It fills up very quickly, and once it's full, that's it. There's no expansion. There's no secret extra compartment like you get with some of these things. It's just simply designed for people who don't have much money. And by the time you've saved up enough to worry about a bigger safe, inflation has already done its thing. So congratulations, you protected your money perfectly, and it's still worth less than when you started. Number 2. W. W has some serious defensive energy. Right off the bat, you're overfaced with tall walls, like really tall. Seriously, I mean, it's more of a fortress. It also comes with a deep interior as standard. Just think about the money pools you could make in this thing. Dive deep into the pennies like you're Scrooge McDuck. This all works very well, unless the person breaking in brought a specialized piece of equipment, known in technical jargon as a ladder, which even the dumbest criminal probably would bring. Still, you can improve it, add some barbed wire along the top, make it a bit unpleasant to climb over. Ooh, or even better, place an M on the top and suddenly the open gap disappears. Now it's enclosed, which to be honest should have been the main priority of the safe in the first place. Number 1. Q. Q is the full package. It's raised off the ground, which already helps. Once you've placed all your bits and bobs inside, the entrance ramp can be coated in oil to discourage climbing. Anyone who tries is going to get very greasy and start sliding all over the place. The main body is sealed from all sides, so there's no easy access point. It can't roll away because it's anchored into the ground, which immediately solves O's biggest issue, and inside there's plenty of space. Enough for cash, documents, diamonds, probably something you forgot you owned. Q really feels intentional, like someone actually designed it to protect things. If you're serious about keeping your money safe, this is the letter you'd want doing the job. You need a new bed, but you only have letters to pick from. So which are you choosing? Well, it probably wouldn't be A, which somehow manages to feel hostile before you even lie down. It's giving aggressive street furniture vibes, the kind of thing councils installed specifically to stop people sleeping on it. Every angle just feels like it's daring you to try. And not even 1 second after lying on it, I guarantee you'll immediately regret trusting geometry. There's no flat surface that wants to cooperate with the human body. Like, if your back was already bad before this, you're 100% going to need a chiropractor after. In fact, if you tried jumping on this bed, you're probably going to need an ambulance as your back snaps. Worst bed on the list by a mile. Number 9. O. O doesn't exactly fill you with hope when you first see it. If anything, you look at the paper receipt of what you just bought from the store to check you didn't accidentally buy a hot air balloon or something. It's weird because round things, at least to me, seem friendly, but that's clearly not the case, as you'll realise if you actually lie on the top there. Yep, see, there you go, sliding off time and time again. And it just continues like this. You'll spend the entire night slowly sliding. It kind of gives the term drifting off a whole new literal meaning. So yeah, sorry to break it to you, but no amount of readjusting is going to keep you stable. Don't forget, there's no edge to stop you, so there's no corner to brace against. But it's okay. Instead, you get to enjoy the comfort of constant micro movement. All I'll say is sleeping here feels like trying to nap on a slow-moving exercise ball. You never fully relax because your body is always compensating. It's exhausting. Number 8. X. X at least commits to an idea, not necessarily a good one, but an idea nonetheless. It subjects you to a very strict 90-degree angle, like you're part of a very uncomfortable diagram. This isn't a long-term solution, but it does have one redeeming feature. It holds you in place, so unlike previous letters, you're not rolling around anywhere whilst half asleep. You're wedged in. That's great if you're worried about falling out of bed. Less great if you enjoy circulation. It feels more like being stored than sleeping, kind of like you've been stowed away as cabin baggage in a plane before takeoff. Probably fine for a nap, but definitely not fine for 8 hours. Number 7. N. N stands for night, so I've got faith in this one. Although, now looking at it, I probably shouldn't. First of all, how are you even meant to lie in this thing? At a 45-degree angle? Surely not. Well, I suppose this turns sleeping into a weird standing simulation. The only other way I can think to do it is lie with your head at the bottom, which of course introduces a whole new set of problems. All the blood is going to rush to your head, so your face starts to feel a bit strange, maybe a bit tingly. Yeah, that can't be a good thing. And then you do start to wonder how you're actually meant to get back out again. All of a sudden, I feel like this is turning into one of those cave diving videos where an idiot gets stuck upside down and is trapped there forever. This bed just feels like it's daring you to pass out just to see what happens. Number 6. T. Alright, T actually possesses something that all letters so far have not got. What's that? I hear you yelling? Why, it's a flat surface, which is personally something I look for in a bed, believe it or not. And if you're someone who sleeps like a statue, this could almost work. So long as you place yourself directly in the middle, you'll stay balanced and have a wonderful night's sleep. Unlike some people though, we all know you cannot sleep completely still whilst you're wriggling around like you're trying to get out of a straitjacket. And with all that movement, the whole thing starts to wobble, and then inevitably it all comes tumbling down, making that dream where you were skydiving with no parachute have a painful ending. Like a sensei in a temple, it's a bed that demands discipline. No dreams allowed. Number 5. U. U is misleading. Reason being that when you lie down, it cradles you nicely. With there being support on both sides, this thing feels like it's the coziest thing in the world. And you decide to change it to number 1 in the list. But about 10 minutes later, you go ahead and undo that decision because, as you'll realize over more and more time, this type of shape is not a comfortable resting position for hours on end. See, unless you're a cat, your back is going to start complaining at you. The curve that once felt oh so cozy gradually starts to feel completely wrong. Your spine doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing. You start shifting around, trying to find a position that works, and slowly realize why more beds are flat. This one is fine for a short rest, but overnight, forget about it. Number 4. H. H is basically a bed on stilts, and that's both interesting and also inconvenient. If you somehow manage to make it in, it actually feels pretty secure. The walls on either side make it feel protected, almost like a fortress. You then realize the problem is that it's also doing a good job of keeping you out, because this thing is high, and the walls don't make entry easy. I mean, what were they thinking when they made this thing? Okay, gentlemen, we need a new innovative bed design. Now, what do most people want to do right before they get into bed? Ah, yes, rock climbing. Of course. Like, if you wanted to avoid directly scaling the side, you could just bring a ladder, although it would have to be a full-size one, not just a little stepping stool. And like I say, if you do actually manage to get up there, I salute you. You deserve that well-earned rest. Getting down in the morning, however, is another issue entirely. Number 3. L. Now, yes, I'm going to break the rules slightly here, and I know some of you don't like that, but I'm going to do it anyway. We are going to rotate the L 90 degrees to the left. I know, sue me. But now you've got a flat surface and a built-in headrest. This is quite literally a textbook definition of a simple and effective bed. That is, if you overlook the fact it's actually on the floor. So that means every imaginary floor monster you've heard about being able to reach you in the night. But other than that, it's fine. I mean, it's not fancy, but it works. It's kind of like that setup you have when you have enough money to move into a new place, but you don't have any money left over for anything else. So all you have is this mattress on the floor and a TV. I mean, hey, that's all the person needs, right? Number 2. J. Now, if you didn't like how I broke the rules for that last one, you're not going to be happy. Rotate J to the right and it almost nails it. The shape is interesting, slightly futuristic, and it actually encloses you at both ends. You feel tucked in and protected. It even looks kind of cool if you think about it. Looks like a race car bed for adults who pretend they're too mature for that. I just wish it could also zoom around the room at night. But anyway, I mean, it's close. It's very close to being first, but I just can't overlook the fact that I'd always end up at the bottom of the bed because of the slight angle. Number 1. I. And finally, I. And you'll never guess what you have to do to make it work. We, of course, have to rotate it 90 degrees. And now that it is flat, it's also elevated. The headrest is there, but it's not intrusive. And you're also off the ground, which gives it a sense of luxury compared to some of the other options. There's nothing fighting your body like gravity, or nothing forcing you into a strange position. I mean, what more credit can I give it? It's a bed. If you had to sleep in a letter every night, this is the one you choose without hesitation. Hidden bases are really cool, but which letter would make the best one? Alright, well, starting with F, which is a hidden base only if your definition of hidden is extremely generous. Like, the idea is simple. You find a tree, strap the F against it, and climb into the top compartment. And to be fair, once you're up there, it's not terrible, because you've got a bit of space and you're off the ground, so you're not immediately in any danger. But obviously, when you think about it, the issue is visibility, because you're not hidden, like, at all. This thing is just sort of there. I mean, come on, it's not really hard to spot when walking past, but hey, at least you didn't try to hide this one inside of a random bush, because aesthetics might not work on that one. But yeah, you're basically relying on people not looking up, which is historically not a great strategy when the thing you're hiding in is shaped like a capital letter. Number 9. I. I is technically a hidden base, in the same way standing behind a closed door is hiding. You're covered, but I mean only barely. And anyone with hands can ruin your day instantly. I'll be honest, it's a bit rubbish because there's no depths or compartments or anything. Imagine getting inside, you just stand there and hope no one interacts with the environment. And the moment someone opens it, that's it, game over. This one relies entirely on people not being curious, which is a risky bet considering curiosity is basically humanity's main feature. But to be fair, this one might well work if you're just trying to play hide and seek with some small humans, or in British, as we also call them, kids. Number 8. Q. Initially great, starts off feeling really clever, and this is how this one is different. You climb on inside, all excited, then get someone to push you into a body of water, and suddenly you're thinking big brain thoughts, and it's all going swimmingly well, pun intended. You're floating and you're hidden, but then wait, you remember oxygen exists. But we thought of that. You see that little tail? It acts as a snorkel. Now you can just chill in there indefinitely. Sounds great, right? Well, not quite, because water moves. Things like currents exist and things drift, and before you know it, your hidden base has quietly relocated itself. Yeah, that's not ideal. You didn't really plan for maritime survival. You planned for short-term hiding. Now you're lost at sea, which only feels just a little bit like mission failed. Number 7. H. H is kind of ridiculous, but with practice, it can work. So you can use this however you want, but I'm going to make a suggestion on how you probably should use it. I'd suggest climbing into the bottom section of the H and just waiting. If someone happens to find it and starts flipping it over, you rely entirely on agility, because as it rotates, you need to scramble into the top section, which then becomes the bottom, and then the top again if they keep flipping it. It's like a very stressful shell game where you are the prize. This does work surprisingly well though if you're quick and have nothing with you, so on that subject, just don't bring any belongings, like at all, because everything you own will end up smashed or broken or crushed during the flipping process. Yeah, not a great one if you like to relax. Number 6. You. This is probably the most traditional hidden base on the list. You gotta start by digging a big hole. Make sure it's deep enough for you. Haha, get it? You, as in you, yourself, because you're so damn big. Anyway, once the hole is ready, you can drop the U in, climb inside, and then line the top with leaves, sticks, and maybe some grass if you're feeling fancy. And honestly, it works because it's hidden and it's quiet, and I'd also say it's kinda cozy. However, security is lacking because, well, there is none. I mean, think about it. All it takes is one unlucky step from someone trying to hit their 5k daily walk, and then suddenly your base is discovered in the most dramatic way possible. So now you're both stuck at the bottom. You're screaming because your base is ruined, and they're screaming because they think they just ended up in some sick, twisted human trap. Number 5. Oh. If you want to go classic, this is it. Hiding in a bush, but with structure. My god, hiding in bushes, what is this, flipping Fortnite? But yeah, with this one, try rolling the O into a thick bush or patch of brambles. And once you're in, you can't really do much, to be honest. From the outside though, it looks exactly like more foliage. And I mean, come on, who's checking a bush? No one cares, you're not going to get discovered. So the only downside here really is boredom, as the base offers very little in terms of excitement. So I hope you bought something like a jigsaw puzzle or a game of Jenga, I don't know. Also, be careful which bush you pick, because O is quite round. You don't want to end up picking a bush that's, let's say, on the edge of a hill. Things might accelerate quite quickly, and then in a very unfortunate way, things become very interesting for you. Number 4. E. Now, although this one looks sort of similar to F, it's actually a huge improvement, because by simply adding another line to the bottom, you can take your brand new E and push it right up against a house or some other structure. Then you paint it white or beige or some other aggressively boring colour, and suddenly it just looks like an air conditioning unit. Or, I don't know, a utility box or one of those other things everyone ignores. And inside, you've got multiple compartments, actual rooms, space to move around. People walk past it every day without even a second glance. This thing is hidden in plain sight, which is always strong. The key is committing to the boring aesthetic. The moment you even try to make it slightly interesting, you lose. Yeah, I know it looks nice, but might want to take down that hanging basket of flowers. Number 3. B. This one requires a bit of planning, but trust me, it's worth it, because you actually use B together with P. How it works is quite interesting because you place both halfway into the ground, right next to each other. P goes in first position, so it's easy to spot. Someone comes along, sees it, gets curious, pulls it out, and finds nothing. Just an empty pole. Disappointing. Naturally, they assume that the next one over is the same deal and don't bother. And obviously, that's where you are, inside the bottom section of the B, completely ignored. This works because people rarely check twice once they think they've solved something. It's psychological camouflage, and it's very effective. Number 2. M. M is actually quite solid. If you can find somewhere to put it where it's quiet and inconspicuous, grab a friend and climb inside together, it's basically a dual tent. You've got a bit of room, shared space, and enough structure to feel safe. The real bonus comes if you use more than one. Line them up and suddenly the whole area looks like one of those anti-homeless spike installations, and people avoid those on instinct. No one questions it. Now you've got a whole group hiding out together and everyone just walks past it without thinking twice. It's sad, really, but extremely effective. Think of this one as like the best version of your childhood dream then. Apart from the homeless bit, of course. Yikes. Number 1. C. And finally, C is the winner. And you might be quite confused, but let's find out why. See, if you embed it directly into a rock, most of it disappears into the surface, leaving just enough of an opening for access and airflow. From the outside, it looks like part of the rock face. Nothing stands out unless someone is inspecting it very, very closely. As long as you don't leave anything shiny near the entrance, you're invisible. You can get in and out easily, you've got cover, and you're not relying on luck or distraction. It's basically a low-key cave. Cavemen did use them to hide away from predators after all. If you're serious about staying unseen, this is the one.